Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Web Enumeration and Information Gathering course here at INE. I'm your instructor, Alexis Ahmed. Before we get started with this course, I would like to give you a formal introduction to the course and take you through what we'll be covering, as well as the prerequisites required for this course, and of course, the learning objectives or the learning outcomes, sort of giving you an idea as to what you'll know after completing this course. And of course, this course is part of the EWPT certification learning path. So everything that we'll be exploring in this course will be closely linked to some of the other courses within the actual learning path. So to get started, who am I now? As some of you already know, my name is Alexis Ahmed. I'm a senior penetration tester and red team at Hackersploit. I'm also the red team instructor here at INE. If you want to reach out to me, you can do so via my email, which I've posted here, as well as some of my social media accounts, one of them being Twitter, which I like quite a lot, and LinkedIn. And in addition to that, if you have any personal questions that you'd like to ask about the course content, or if you're experiencing any issues, you can do that on the INE forum, the official INE forum, and I typically respond within 1 or 2 days, depending on how busy I am. With that being said, we can actually, take a look at the course topic overview. So this will give you an idea as to what we'll be covering at a high level. So these are all of the categories of content that we'll be covering. So given the fact that we're targeting the web, I'm going to introduce you to web enumeration and information gathering to sort of give you a bit of context as to what we'll be doing. We'll then be taking a look at finding website ownership and IP addresses. So, this typically will fall into the realm of passive information gathering. The objective here is to, again, identify a website owner as well as the corresponding website or web server IP addresses. We'll then be taking a look at how to review web server metafiles for information leakage. So taking a look at disallowed files or directories to see if we can find something something interesting, identify what's running on the web server in the context of the actual web application. We'll then take a look at search engine discovery. So sort of exploring how we can utilize search engines like Google to identify additional information regarding the target site or the target web server, but more specifically regarding the target site, sort of looking for specific subdomains, looking for specific web pages with a specific title, etc., etc. We'll then move on to web app fingerprinting. We will be taking a look at identifying the web application that's running on the target web server. So sort of getting a better understanding of it and how it works, identifying whether, this web application is a content management system, is it a popular third-party solution, identifying the actual server-side programming language being used. And we're going to be doing this through a mix of both manual and automated techniques. And this will tie in very closely to source code analysis. So in certain cases, you might be in a position where you'd like to learn more about the web application or the website. And as a result, we'll take a look at how to copy or download a website and then analyze the actual source code offline, either to learn more about the actual structure of the web application, or to try and find information that might be hidden in some of the web pages in the form of comments. And of course, also to try and get a better understanding as to how the web application is structured from a development perspective. And of course, this will also tie in to website crawling and spidering, where we'll be taking a look at how to crawl or spider a website to discover its structure using a tool like Burp Suite, which we will be taking a look at in its own course, but I'll introduce you to that very briefly here. And then we'll move on to web server fingerprinting. Again, this is self-explanatory. In this case, we're trying to learn more about the web server that's hosting the web application. So identifying what web server technology is being used. Is it Apache? Is it Nginx? Is it Microsoft IIS? So on and so forth. And this will then take us to DNS enumeration. We will be taking a look at, of course, enumerating DNS records, performing zone transfers, and then, of course, we'll utilize some of the techniques within DNS enumeration to perform subdomain enumeration. So the process of finding subdomains either passively or through publicly available sources or databases, and then actively by performing a subdomain brute force. And we'll also take a look at how zone transfers can essentially help us in performing subdomain enumeration. And then finally, we'll touch upon web app vulnerability scanning using some automated tools to sort of give you an intro into this topic. Remember, this course is primarily focused on information gathering and enumeration. So we're going to touch on we're going to touch on some of these topics that we'll be exploring in their own course because of how much we need to cover. But I'm going to use this course to sort of give you an introduction to them so that you're not fresh once we get there. And then, of course, I'll touch upon some automated recon frameworks like OWASP AMAS that can be used to automate this entire process and provide you with a very useful, very neat reporting solution so that you can actually output your results into the form of a report, which is very important when you're performing a web app pen test or a web app security audit. Some of the prerequisites. These are very, very simple, very basic prerequisites. You need basic familiarity with the web, specifically the communication protocols behind it. So TCP, IP, UDP, and of course, HTTP. And then, of course, because we're going to be using primarily Linux, and we'll also touch upon Windows slightly, you're going to need to have some basic familiarity with Windows and Linux with regards to how it works. And of course, how to utilize the command line or the terminal in the case of Linux, as most of the tools we'll be using, whether manual or automated, are primarily built for Unix-based operating systems. So if you've already gone through the pen testing student learning path, or you've got the EJPT certification, then you should be good. However, again, this is not, we're not going to be covering anything too complex. So if you have basic familiarity with the operating systems, then you should be good. And of course, the learning objectives, which I've highlighted here, and I'm not going to go through, this essentially gives you an idea as to what you'll be able to do or what you'll learn after completing this course. And of course, this is very, very important because at the end of the course, we'll be touching upon the learning objectives to see that we've covered everything. All right. Now, one final thing that I would like to say before we get started with this course is that in this course, you'll see me specifically utilizing examples or utilizing tools or techniques, and we'll be running them on specific real world or public IT assets, or in this case, websites. And I'd just like to say as a disclaimer that you should never run any of these tools and techniques, especially the active enumeration or recon tools and techniques, against any of these websites or addresses, or on any server and network without proper authorization. So again, always keep in mind rules of engagement and the actual code of ethics that you should abide by as a penetration tester, which I'm sure you're already aware of. So in the context of this course, where applicable, I will explicitly specify what websites you can run tests on based on, of course, my permission or me providing you permission, either, firsthand or, as a third party. So sort of referring you to resources or websites that you are allowed to run tests on. And for most of the techniques, we were specifically talking about tools and, a little bit more advanced techniques like dealing with web servers and specific web applications. You'll be provided with, hands-on labs that correspond to that tool or technique where you can practice what you have learned. So again, for some, in certain cases, I'll be utilizing public assets just because that's the only way to demonstrate them. But in most cases, you will have labs, so you'll be able to do this yourself. With that being said, I'm really excited to get started. So I'll be seeing you in the introductory video to this course.